Guys, have you seen the image coming out of California lately? Right? Raging wildfire, massive plume of smokes, communities under threat. So wildfire like that, normally they dominate the news every summer. But guess what? We're in the middle of January, not even the middle, with start of January. And it's impressive to see that happening. Yeah. It's actually quite striking. Yeah. And clearly we may think that's a little bit abnormal. But like the governor of California said, this is not just a summer threat anymore. This is an all year threat that is happening. And we need to take that into account. But here is my question for you. Have you ever thought about the hidden impact that they have on the planet carbon balance? That's what I want to talk to you today about. I want to dive into a rather surprising and often overlooked contributors to the rising CO2 emissions. Why? Let's talk about it. Hello again. How are you doing? So my name is Tony T. I'm the founder and CEO of Renewables in Africa. What we do is we raise awareness about renewables energy, but also sustainability. So if you are interested to either break into Africa and to expand into it, we are your eco bridge to this market, and we can help you with the visibility, the lead, but also the deals. And if you're looking to decarbonize carbon accounting, we are again your eco bridge to sustainable pathway, and we can help you with your carbon footprint assessment and also carbon reduction strategy. So do reach out to me today because I want to talk to you about how we can make it happen and show to you what we've done for other people. And hopefully it will make sense for you. Now, I want to come back to obviously the topic, our topic for today, right? And I want to discuss about what we have seen in California because, like I say, it's very impressive, right? So it's what we see here. It's massive wildfire, and I like to get you to understand a little bit more what's happening here and why we sometimes will actually uh, neglect this contribution to the CO2 emissions, right? Because that's usually a neglected fact that that we see here. So, and I want to talk to you about because to why are we doing that's the first question, and why should you know that? Because, like I said, so if we talk about reducing the CO2 and also for companies and all that, if they want to know where should they put their effort into, what action really matter. And I know we talk about, and I'll come to that in the third part of this call. So we usually look at all the let's say area like industries. We're looking as well at buildings, but we sometimes will ignore wildfire, and that's why I want to come back today and give you some perspective, so at least you get a better understanding what we're dealing with here, and now you have an idea where you can also put your effort but also put your money. So what I want to show you here today, first of all, it's what we see here. It's the annual uh, uh, um, annual CO2 emission from the wildfire, and that's actually from 2003 and 2024, right? And what we could see here from 2003 to 2024, the annual carbon emission from wildfire, they have very extensively, yeah, but they have been peaking in extreme year, but like 2024. And with what's happening in the US right now, massive, there is a good chance that also 2025, as we're speaking now, it's actually an extreme year. Yeah. And we know that in 2024, for example, the global wildfire, they emitted 8.6 billion metric tons of CO2. Yeah. And when I say that, so it may not tell you a lot, right? But 8.6 billion metric ton, and you have to know that the whole world we consume about 37 billion metric tons, yeah, a year. So basically at 8.6, that's about a fourth of the contribution. I know we can't always simplify that like that because some of the CO2 emission that will come from wildfire will be offset by regeneration, reforestation. I know that, but at least it gives you an idea what we're talking about here. So you can see it's very serious problem. And if I bring back that slide, yeah, and what you could see here, you can see the contributors of some main countries where obviously it's a big issue. You have the United States, Canada, Greece, Brazil, Indonesia. So that's not the only countries, but I give you some of them. And I will tell you as well, in the continent of Africa as well, it's also another serious problem. Yeah. So that's what you see. And you may be asking yourself, what kind of land are actually destructed? Yeah. So that's another thing that usually we will want to see here. And let me just again come back and bring my slide to you, so that I can actually give you this. So, and you could see the type of land that we have that we have in here. So actually you can't see because the graph doesn't show. So apology. I think it looks like I may have. Yeah, that's it. Here we have here. So when we look at the type of land, so the scale of destruction is staggering. In many cases, we have forest, but the forest usually will act as a carbon sink. Yeah. So having those soils destructed, it's a big issue, and they are transforming to major carbon emitters within days. So we have, carbon-rich forests. They release far more CO2 per hectares burned than, for example, cropland and grassland. So that is actually what you can see. You can see on the graph here. You have shrubland and grassland, savannas, forest, and cropland. So depending on which type, that's the other thing that I wanted you to pick up from today. So not all wildfire are equivalent. That's what I want to say here. Depending on the type of vegetation which is actually burned, you have a lot more release of CO2 than the other. So that's what obviously the slide was actually saying. And I'm hoping that you did get this information. So yeah, so that means when you have carbon rich forests, they release a lot more CO2 per hectare burn than, for example, others, right? That's what you will see, for example, like shrubland and grassland, they will release a lot more than cropland and maybe forest. So that is the thing that you want to find out. So once I've said that, I can see some of you will be now start asking themselves, so what kind of forest is actually being burned in California? That's a good question to see, right? And you also want to see why people will protect a lot more certain, let's say, a certain area as opposed to others, because we know that those areas, if they happen to burn, is a lot more damaging than actually than the others. So this kind of information is very, very important for you to know. And it's not just a question of CO2. So I also want to say, because what I've shown as well in my graph, so if I can bring that back here, if I bring that back here, so this is the PM, which stands for particulate matters. It's not just the CO2 is a problem. So wildfire will also release fine particulate matters. They're known as PM2.5, yeah, and which is actually posing a lot of health risk. From 2003 to 2024, the PM emission for wildfire, they've surged in years, with extensive burning, and they've been affecting the air quality for millions of people. So these are the kind of, let's say, challenge or issue that we see. Yes, it's not just people, losing their valuable, which it's a serious problem. Don't get me wrong. I'm not minimizing that. Clearly, it's a concern, right? So I wouldn't want to have it for sure. But I'm just obviously bringing that up to the attention that there are other aspects as well, which are environmentally also very damaging. Yeah, which you could, and I know something like that you would guess that's the case, but I'm just bringing that up to your attention. So the question that becomes, so why what I say, right? So why a wildfire sometimes overlooked? That is a question. Do you know why? Drop that in the comment. Let me know if you have an idea why we sometimes would overlook those wildfire. But let me tell you what's happening. So when we think about carbon emissions, most of the time, as I was saying at the beginning of the talk, our mind will go to factories, to cars and planes, and rightly so. And these are significant sources. But wildfire also contribute to billions of tons of CO2 every year. I told you, 8 out of 37, right? So that's a fourth of the contribution here. But they rarely feature in mainstream climate discussion. And I believe one of the reasons, what I'll sometimes say, we can sometimes bring that back to marketing or bad marketing. That's what I say, out of eye, out of mind. So one of the reasons for me here is perception. Yes, perception. The way we actually perceive a wildfire. They are seen as natural events, part of ecosystem, and therefore unavoidable. But that's not correct. Here's the reality. Many wildfire are human cause. So whether through land management practice, deforestation, or accidental ignition. Yeah. So we can do something about it, but we just don't know. That's why I want to bring that information up to you so that you can understand. And with the climate changing, that is fueling more extreme weather. I think that on that, all of us pretty much would agree on that. So the intensity and the frequency are increasing. So we're seeing more and more wildfire. Obviously, we want to make sure that they are less damaging. And in region like California, the Mediterranean, so in part of Australia, Africa as well. So the combination of dry condition, heat wave, but also human activity create the perfect storm for devastating fires. And that's actually what we are seeing here. Yeah. So clearly it's really, really a problem and a concern, and that we clearly will need to look at. You know, area like that, forest burning. We see that all around the world. And as I say, it's because of perception that we don't think about that, but we should be thinking about that. That's the question what I'm saying. Looking at what is happening in California, guess what? It's happening in many parts of the world. And we should bear in mind that, okay, if we are talking about reducing the CO2 emissions, maybe, we want to make sure that we reduce to the minimum the amount of wildfire per year, and that will already significantly reduce, right, what we actually release into the atmosphere every year. That's actually what I'm saying, so that people get to different idea of how they can act. Yeah, so that's very important. I just want to end up in saying that, despite the green headlines, there's also a reason to be hopeful, right? Because the total area burned by wildfire annually has gone down, yeah, progressively. And I know if I can bring back my slide in here, I'll go back maybe to the first one. You'll be able to see that. So the and that's what we see. So essentially, we have seen that the total amount, it's going down over the past few decades. Yeah, yes, we have some peaks here, but the trend definitely, you could see, you could see that. So this is because we having better fire management practices, early detection system, and targeted policy in some region. And I know in general, California, I know unfortunately it's happening to them at the moment, but they're rather good at that. Some other places as well is rather good at that, right? So clearly there is some, let's say, message of hope in here, right? So, and we also have reforestation effort. This is what I was saying, because if you know that it's the main problem, and if, for example, as a company, you want to do some CSR, some ESG action, you may be thinking about that. That's why it's important to have reforestation project, carbon sustainable land management initiative. It's important. They play a critical role in reducing wildfire risk and restoring carbon balance, right? And like I say, so people that want to tap into carbon credits and all of that, that's an area where you could that you could clearly be exploiting to make sure that you could be helpful in here, right? So technology is helping us to track and detect, predict wildfire more effectively, and it gives us a chance to mitigate the impact. So I just wanted you to be aware of what you can do. Hopefully you get that. So as we think about wildfire, so I just want to finish off in saying that it's a reminder of the importance of carbon accounting and assessment. And for me, companies, they have a strong responsibility to measure the carbon footprint and to take action to reduce their emissions. Obviously, at Renewables in Africa, so what we do is we helping those organizations understand their environmental impact, and we do that through carbon assessment and accounting. So whether you're looking to measure your operation carbon footprint or to develop strategy for sustainability, I want to support you, to guide you and make it happen. So yes, wildfire is a challenge, but I believe with collective action, better management, and innovative solution, we can turn it around, turn the tide. So I'm hoping that we're going to work together to protect the planet and create a better future. But for the time being, so I'm hoping that people are going to do everything they need, all the people, the stakeholders, everything they need to make sure that they can support California in managing this environmental disaster that's currently happening. So, guys, you have a beautiful Sunday, and like I say, think about wildfire. We can avoid them. So, if we act together, okay, excellent, guys. Take care. Bye bye. That's done it to you.